Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to give my review of SummerSlam 1998. Starting off the evening, we'll go to our first match of the night. It is D'Lo Brown defending the WWE European Championship against Val Venus. The match itself I thought was okay. Back and forth match between both D'Lo and Val, with D'Lo keeping the pace of the match. D'Lo then goes to hit a leg drop on Val. D'Lo then applies a Texas Cloverleaf on Val as well. Val then breaks the hold. Val then hits a double arm DDT or double arm suplex on D'Lo. D'Lo then gets up, hits an awful power bomb on Val. Val then goes for the finish. Referee pulls Val off the top rope, and your winner of the match by disqualification. And at that time, still WWE European Champion is D'Lo Brown. Hats off to D'Lo Brown for getting a win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the Oddities versus Kai and Tai. It was an okay matchup, back and forth matchup between both teams, with the Oddities keeping the pace of the match. And the Oddities ultimately hit the finish, pin for the 3, and your winners of the match are the Oddities. Hats off to the Oddities for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Jeff Jarrett versus X-Pac in a hair versus hair match. I thought this match was relatively good. Back and forth matchup between both Jarrett and X-Pac. X-Pac hits a spinning heel kick on Jarrett. Jarrett then hits a drop kick on X-Pac. Jarrett was keeping the pace after that. Jarrett then applies a figure 4 leg lock on X-Pac. X-Pac then gets up, hits a Bronco Buster on Jarrett. Jarrett then attacks Howard Finkel, who was sitting ringside during this match. X-Pac then hits Jeff Jarrett with a guitar, with the referee being distracted. Pins Jarrett for the 3, and your winner of the match is X-Pac. Hats off to X-Pac for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Mark Marrow and Jacqueline versus Edge and Sable. I thought this was a relatively good matchup as well. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Edge and Sable keeping the pace of the match. Sable then hits a TKO on Jacqueline. Sable then hits a Hurricane off the top rope on Mark Marrow. And Edge and Sable hit the finish. Pin for the 3. And your winners of the match are Edge and Sable. Hats off to Edge and Sable for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart in a Lion's Den match. I thought this was a really good matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Ken Shamrock and Owen Hart, with Shamrock keeping the pace of the match. Owen then applies a sharpshooter on Shamrock. Shamrock then breaks the hold. Shamrock then applies his signature ankle lock on Owen Hart. And your winner of the match is Ken Shamrock. Hats off to Ken Shamrock for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night as well. It is the New Age Outlaws versus Mankind for the WWE Tag Team Championships in a no-holds-barred match. I thought this was a really good matchup. Back and forth matchup between both the New Age Outlaws and Mankind, with the New Age Outlaws keeping the pace of the match. Billy Gunn then hits a powerbomb on Mankind on a chair structure that looked absolutely brutal. New Age Outlaws then hit a pile driver on Mankind on top of the title, pinning him for the 3. And your winners of the match, and at that time new WWE Tag Team Champions, are the New Age Outlaws. Hats off to the New Age Outlaws for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is The Rock defending the WWE Intercontinental Championship versus Triple H in a ladder match. Number one, I thought this was a great match. Back and forth match between both The Rock and Triple H, with The Rock keeping the pace of the match. Rock then slams a ladder on Triple H's leg. Triple H then goes to hit a pedigree on The Rock on the ladder, but Rock hits a back body drop on Triple H. Triple H then hits a baseball slide, hitting the ladder into The Rock's face. Rock is busted wide open after that. Rock and Triple H then both exchange on the ladder. Rock then hits a scoop slam on Triple H on the ladder. Rock then hits a people's elbow on Triple H with the ladder. Rock then goes to hit a rock bottom. Triple H then hits a pedigree on The Rock. Mark Henry then throws powder on Triple H. China then attacks The Rock, and Triple H climbs the ladder to grab the Intercontinental Championship. And your winner of the match, and at that time new Intercontinental Champion, is Triple H. Hats off to Triple H for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of SummerSlam 1998. It is The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE Championship. Number one, this was a great matchup. Back and forth matchup between both Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin, with Taker keeping the pace of the match. Kane ends up showing up. Undertaker then hits a choke slam on Steve Austin, but Austin ultimately hits a Stone Cold Stunner on the Undertaker, pinning him for the 3, and your winner of the match, and at that time still WWE Champion, is Stone Cold Steve Austin. After the match, though, Undertaker's grabbing the title, shows a little respect to Steve Austin by giving him the World Championship. And you can see Kane sitting down the aisle at the event, and Undertaker walks backstage. I mean, a couple things I'm going to say about SummerSlam 1998 is, number one, this was not a bad event at all. The main event obviously was really good. Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE Championship. The New Age Outlaws versus Mankind was really good, but to be 100% honest with you, to me, the match of the night of SummerSlam 1998 was hands down The Rock versus Triple H for the WWE Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. That match, by far, was the best match of the night for SummerSlam 1998, in my honest opinion. Bar none. I mean, it was one of the best matches I've seen on this card. So if I had to give SummerSlam 1998 a rating from 1 out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 7 at best, man. It definitely wasn't the best SummerSlam I've ever seen, but it definitely was not the worst as well. But this is my review of SummerSlam 1998. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic.